Hey, good morning. Kicking off the Gospel of John today, and we'll spend, really the next month in the Gospel of John. It is an incredibly impactful book. In fact, it's a book that many times when somebody chooses to make a commitment to Christ and they are really a new believer, it's the book that many times people ask them to read first. And John tells us the purpose of the book at the end in verse 20, or chapter 20, verse 31, says, I've written so that you will believe, and that through belief you will have life, that you'll believe Jesus is the Son of God. So everything points to that. And we're in chapter 1 today, and just this introduction, first 18, talking about the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. So this Word was in the beginning, was with God, always has existed with God, and became flesh and dwelt among us, we see in verse 14. But we could spend sermons just on that section, many. There's lots and lots of good stuff. This concept of light and darkness we're going to see throughout the gospel, and light reflecting Jesus bringing life, and darkness reflecting the earth and death. And the Bible Project video says in this chapter there are 7 different references to who Jesus is, that he's called Rabbi, he's called the Lamb of God, he's called the Son of God, he's called the Son of Man, he's called Messiah, he's called the King of Israel, and he's called Jesus of Nazareth. And we will see that kind of fleshed out throughout the rest of the book, that Jesus represents all of these titles, and each title gives a different facet of who Jesus is. John the Baptist is introduced here, and pointing to that Jesus, he says, behold the Lamb of God. And this is, he says about Jesus, this is the Son of God. And then Jesus starts calling his disciples the rest of the chapter. And something I was reading really made a point of saying, the 2 disciples heard him in verse 35 and following. The next day, John was standing with 2 of his disciples, and he looked at Jesus and walked by and said, behold, the Lamb of God. The 2 disciples heard him say this, and they followed Jesus. And Jesus turned and saw that they were following him, and said to him, what are you seeking? And they said to him, Rabbi, which means teacher, where are you staying? And he says, come and you will see. So they came and saw where he was staying, and they stayed with him that day. But this concept of what are you seeking? What is it you want? And Jesus says, come and see. And that's an invitation, I believe, for all of us, that as we seek to determine or understand who Jesus is, I think Jesus says, come and see. And we will see that throughout this entire Gospel of John, that Jesus, I think, is calling us as we read this word, as we read his gospel. He says, what is it you're seeking? What is it you need for your life? Where are you empty? And he says, come and see. And it's just really, I think, a beautiful thought to kick off our Monday. What is it you want? What is it you are seeking? And Jesus says, come and see. So I pray that you will come to the Gospel of John, and that as we look at the Gospel, we will see Jesus and we will experience Jesus. So it's a lot of stuff. We can't possibly hit everything. So let me know if you have any questions or what's standing out to you. And have a blessed Monday. And we'll see you on here with chapter 2 tomorrow. God bless.